You won't believe the brutal ways Rome punished its sacred Vestal virgins. Humanity now thrived among the stars, building gleaming cities in orbit around distant planets and colonizing moons that glinted like jewels in the void. But despite all these marvels, some humans held tightly to the past. On Luminara Station, a sprawling orbital habitat above the gas giant Caelus, tradition was not forgotten. This station, orbiting silently through the endless black, housed one of humanity's oldest orders, the Vestal Order, caretakers of the sacred flame. Though millennia had passed since Rome's original Vestals tended fires in grand temples on Earth, the order had survived, transformed into a symbol of human endurance and identity. Aelia, a young woman of 19, was chosen as the newest Vestal of Luminara. Her hair shimmered like burnished copper, and her eyes carried a depth that made older mentors pause. She had been trained since childhood in ritual, logic, and history, learning to balance discipline with creativity. The elders of the Vestal Order often reminded her, humans are fragile but their minds and hearts are not. Strength, they said, is not measured in weapons or muscle, but in loyalty, endurance, and wisdom. Today, Aelia walked through the polished corridors of the station toward the sanctum of the flame, the heart of the Vestal Order. The sanctum was circular, with transparent walls that revealed the swirling storms of Caelus below. At its center burned the eternal flame, a pure plasma contained in a carefully engineered quantum field, its light dancing like golden fire against the polished metal floor. The flame was more than a symbol. It was a living record of humanity's resilience, maintained through centuries of space travel, political upheaval, and alien encounters. Careful, Aelia called Magistra Valeria, the head of the order, from behind her. Her voice was soft but carried the weight of authority that made younger apprentices straighten instantly. This flame is not only a fire, it is the heartbeat of humanity among the stars. One mistake and history forgets us. Aelia bowed respectfully. I understand, Magistra. I will not fail. Valeria nodded, her gaze drifting to the swirling storms of Caelus. Storms test the station and storms test the Vestals, but the strongest trial is not the storm outside, it is the storm inside. Aelia approached the flame carefully. As she extended her hand to the control panel, she noticed a faint flicker, a small dimming of the plasma. Her stomach tightened. The flame had never faltered before, not in her lifetime, not even under the harsh radiation belts of Caelus. Magistra, she said quietly. The flame, it wavers. Valeria's eyes narrowed. Impossible. She hurried to Aelia's side, her fingers flying across the panel. The lights of the flame pulsed irregularly, shadows flickering across the chamber like liquid gold. We must check the quantum core. If it fails, her voice trailed off, and Aelia felt the weight of history press on her shoulders. The quantum ignition core was a marvel of human engineering, designed to maintain the plasma flame indefinitely. It required precision, attention, and understanding, blending technology with the almost spiritual care the Vestals brought to their work. Aelia and Valeria descended to the lower chamber, where the hum of machinery filled the air. As they examined the core, Aelia felt a strange presence outside the station. She had learned to recognize the subtle movements of orbital traffic, the shifts of satellites, and the silent passage of ships. But this was different. A soft glow rippled against the outer hull, unnatural and deliberate. She pressed her hand against the transparent wall. Magistra, look, she said. Outside, hovering just beyond the safety shields, was an alien vessel. Its design was unfamiliar, smooth, curved, and shimmering in colors that defied human description. Aelia's heart raced. Humanity had encountered alien species before, but the Zethurians, as they were called, were distant and curious observers. They rarely interacted with humans directly, and yet here they were studying the flame. Valeria followed her gaze. Zethurians, she murmured. They are interested in our rituals. Alia's mind whirled. Rituals. What could alien species understand of tradition, history, or human belief? They relied on logic, not emotion. They had no need for symbols, no need for fire or memory or ceremony. Yet here they were, hovering like silent witnesses. The elders convened an emergency council, linking via holographic projection. Alia stood before the projection, small but determined, while the Zethurians remained visible outside. Their emissary Cian appeared on the screens, tall, ethereal, and entirely unlike any human form, their translucent bodies shimmering with internal light. "Why do you maintain this fire?" Cian asked, their voice a harmonic resonance rather than speech. "It serves no practical purpose. Energy could be used for growth, research, survival." Alia straightened. "This fire is not just energy, it is memory, it is humanity's heart. Without it, we forget who we are." The Zethurian's luminous form pulsed, a gesture that humans interpreted as curiosity. "Memory, heart, such inefficiency, but also strength," Alia said. "Strength you cannot measure with logic alone." The council murmured, impressed by her courage. Alia felt both fear and pride. She had never addressed alien emissaries before, let alone defended centuries of ritual. And yet, she spoke without hesitation. Over the next hours, she worked alongside Valeria and the engineering team. The flicker of the flame was traced to a failing containment field. Alia's hands moved with careful precision, recalibrating the quantum circuits and stabilizing the plasma. The fire began to glow steadily again, brighter than before, as if acknowledging her effort. The Zethurians watched silently. Cian's glow pulsed rhythmically, almost like applause. "Unexpected," they said finally. "Your species combines fragility with resilience in a manner unknown to us." Alia felt a swell of pride. Here, in the silent void of space, humans had demonstrated something aliens could not predict: determination, creativity, and an emotional depth that defied calculation. But pride quickly gave way to apprehension. Valeria's voice was stern. "This anomaly may be mechanical, but remember, the Council expects proof of your loyalty and skill. Tomorrow, you will face the trial of the flame." Alia swallowed. She had trained for it, yes, but the trial of the flame was a simulation designed to test every aspect of a Vestal's discipline. Failure could lead to disgrace, though never harm. Still, the weight of history pressed down upon her. That night, Alia sat alone in the sanctum. The flame danced before her, casting warm light against the transparent walls. Beyond, the Zethurian vessel drifted silently, observing. She felt a strange kinship with them, despite their alien nature. They were curious, analytical, unbound by emotion, yet they seemed to respect the fire she tended. She whispered to herself, "I will not fail, not the flame, not my people, not history." For the first time, she realized that being a Vestal in the stars was not merely about tending a fire. It was about proving that humanity could endure, adapt, and inspire, even to those who could not understand the heart. As the station drifted silently over the swirling storms of Kalis, the flame burned brightly, a beacon of human resilience. Outside, the Zethurian ship pulsed softly, as if acknowledging the human spirit. And within the sanctum, Alia felt the quiet thrill of destiny. She was the last Vestal of Luminara Station, the keeper of memory, the guardian of light, and she had only just begun. The stars stretched infinitely around her, cold and distant, but the warmth of the flame reminded her that humans had a place among them. She would learn, endure, and grow, and whatever trials awaited, she would face them with courage, intellect, and a human heart. The morning on Luminara Station began with a quiet hum. The orbiting city glimmered as the light of Kalis reflected against its polished surface. Alia woke early, her mind buzzing with the events of the previous day. The flicker in the eternal flame, the presence of the Zethurian vessel, and the stern warning from Magistra Valeria, about the upcoming trial of the flame all weighed on her like a heavy cloak. She dressed in the simple ceremonial robes of a Vestal, white with golden trims, and made her way to the sanctum. As she walked through the corridors, she noticed the station was unusually quiet. Engineers moved with careful steps, and even the maintenance drones hovered in silence, as if sensing the tension in the air. At the sanctum, the eternal flame burned steadily, brighter than ever. Alia approached it, hands trembling slightly. She had never felt such responsibility before. To her, this flame was more than light. It was a link between centuries of human history and the vast future among the stars. Every flicker seemed alive, almost like it was watching her. "Good morning, Alia," said Valeria, appearing beside her. Her voice was calm, but the glint in her eyes betrayed concern. "The Zethurians are still observing. Sion's vessel remains in orbit. They are curious, perhaps more than we anticipated." Alia nodded. "Why would they care about a fire? They do not understand what it means to us." Valeria studied the flame thoughtfully. "Curiosity takes many forms. They do not understand human emotion, yet they sense something unique. Your task is not only to protect the flame, but also to show them that humans are more than their calculations allow." The words settled heavily in Alia's mind. She realized that she was not just a Vestal of her order, but a representative of humanity itself. Every action she took would ripple outward, reaching creatures who could not comprehend the meaning behind it. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. The holographic projection system activated, and Sion appeared again, glowing with an inner light that shifted with subtle color patterns. "Alia of the Vestal Order," Sion said, their voice resonating calmly, "we have observed your actions with the flame. Your species demonstrates resilience but also inefficiency. We wish to understand the purpose of your ritual." Alia stood taller, taking a deep breath. "The flame is a symbol. It is memory, identity, and guidance. It reminds humans of who we are, even as we travel far from our home world. It teaches discipline, patience, and respect. Without it, we lose more than fire, we lose ourselves." Sion's form pulsed in a slow rhythm. "Memory and identity, concepts that seem unnecessary for survival. Yet you rely on them. This is illogical." "Perhaps," Alia said softly, "but logic alone does not define humanity. Strength is not only in efficiency or computation. Strength is also in endurance, in creativity, in hope." For a long moment, the station was quiet, except for the soft hum of machinery. Alia realized that the Zethurians were not used to such responses. Their entire species functioned on logic, and here was a human defying expectation simply by holding fast to tradition. Valeria stepped closer. "Alia," she said quietly, "they may test you. Observe, answer, and do not falter. The trial of the flame is tomorrow, but these aliens will challenge you in ways you cannot predict. Remember, you are a representative of the human spirit." The hours passed as Alia and Valeria prepared the sanctum for inspection. They cleaned the transparent walls, checked the containment systems for the flame, and calibrated the quantum ignition core. Every task required precision, but it also required thoughtfulness. The Zethurians watched through the walls, their glowing vessel drifting silently in orbit. Later, a soft vibration resonated through the station. Alia approached the observation deck. Outside, Sion's vessel moved closer, though it remained outside the shielded perimeter. Small pulses of light traveled between the station and the ship, almost like a conversation. "Why do they communicate like this?" Alia asked. Valeria smiled faintly. "Zethurians have no language as we know it. Their signals are a combination of light and energy. It conveys meaning without words, which is why it is difficult to interpret, but they are attempting to connect with us. Watch carefully. They are learning." Alia felt a sense of awe. Even as the aliens observed, they were being taught about human values, not through force or argument, but through the simple act of maintaining a ritual. Humanity was communicating with them in a language older than words: persistence, care, and belief. The day progressed with no direct challenges from the Zethurians, but Aelia sensed their presence everywhere. At mealtime, their pulses synchronized faintly with the station's energy systems. During the maintenance checks, their vessel mirrored the movements of the drones. Even the hum of the engines seemed to respond to their attention. By evening, the station's council assembled for a meeting. Aelia, though young, was invited as a representative of the Vestal Order. Hollow projections of senior members filled the chamber, each speaking with measured caution. "The Zethurians' interest is unprecedented," said Elder Lucius, his voice steady. "They have observed human colonies before, but never a ritual. This may indicate they are learning or that they are evaluating us. We must prepare for every outcome." Aelia's heart pounded. "What can I do to help?" she asked. Valeria placed a hand on her shoulder. "You already have. You have shown them that humans are adaptable and resilient, but adaptability requires knowledge. You must study their signals, understand their patterns. Only then can you bridge the gap between species." Elder Lucius nodded. "We will provide you with the archives of Zethurian contact history. Analyze, learn, and prepare. Tomorrow, you begin the trial of the flame, but today is also a test. Observation and understanding may prove even more important than ceremony." As Aelia returned to the sanctum, she felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. She gazed at the eternal flame, its light steady and warm. "I will learn," she whispered. "I will understand them, and I will protect what makes us human." Night fell over Luminara Station. Though in orbit, darkness and light intermingled endlessly. Aelia sat alone with the flame, meditating on its glow. Slowly, she noticed small fluctuations in the Zethurian pulses outside. They were subtle, almost imperceptible, but she sensed a pattern. Over the next hours, she recorded and analyzed the signals. The Zethurians were curious, yes, but their curiosity was precise. They tested her responses, not aggressively, but by observing her decisions, timing, and attention to detail. Aelia realized that the aliens were not enemies. They were mirrors, reflecting the complexity of human thought back to her. In that quiet, she felt a strange kinship forming. The Zethurians, who seemed cold and logical, were learning something about humanity that even humans sometimes forgot: the power of ritual, tradition, and the steady light of hope. Suddenly, a faint glow appeared on the outer wall, a single pulse, longer and steadier than the others. Aelia smiled. She understood it as a greeting, an acknowledgement, even if not in words. She responded by adjusting the light flow around the flame, creating a subtle ripple pattern that matched the alien pulse. For several minutes, the two lights communicated silently, a dialogue of energy, rhythm, and intent. Aelia felt a thrill unlike anything she had experienced. This was more than science or tradition. It was connection, proof that humanity's endurance and spirit could reach even the most alien minds. When the session ended, the Zethurian vessel drifted slightly away, pulsing gently, as if satisfied. Aelia sat back, exhausted but elated. She realized that this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, the trial of the flame awaited, testing her loyalty and skill in ways she had prepared for. But today, she had faced a challenge that no simulation could replicate: bridging the gap between species, proving humanity's worth without words, without weapons, and without force. As she lay down in her chamber, Aelia thought of the flames of Rome, of temples long gone and history preserved in stories and artifacts. And she thought of Luminara Station, floating silently above Caelus, and the light of the eternal flame burning steadfast. "History is alive," she whispered, "and we are its guardians." Outside the station, Cian's vessel pulsed one last time before fading slightly into the distance. The Zethurians had seen, observed, and learned. And humans, through quiet courage and simple devotion, had shown them something that no alien technology could replicate: the enduring power of the human spirit. Alia closed her eyes and drifted to sleep, knowing that tomorrow the trial of the flame awaited. But tonight she had already begun to shine in ways far greater than she had imagined. The sun never rose on Luminara Station, for it orbited high above Kalis, where the light came from the swirling storms of the gas giant below. Yet the station had its own rhythm, governed by artificial cycles of light and shadow. This morning, the station seemed unusually tense. Every corridor, every room, every hum of the machinery seemed alive with expectation. Today was the day of the trial of the flame, the ceremonial test that would determine Alia's worth as a Vestal and her place among humanity's guardians. Alia woke before dawn. She dressed in the ceremonial white robes trimmed with gold, and wrapped her hair in the thin silk band that marked her as a candidate for the trial. Her heart raced, but she forced herself to breathe slowly. The trial was not meant to harm her. It was a test of mind, patience, and character. Yet the weight of centuries of history pressed upon her. Each step she took toward the sanctum felt heavy, as if she carried not only her own destiny, but the hopes of all who had maintained the flame before her. Magistra Valeria met her at the entrance to the sanctum. Her face was calm, but her eyes shone with pride and concern. "Alia," she said softly, "remember what I told you. The trial is not about speed or strength. It is about understanding, observation, and calm in the face of uncertainty. The flame is your guide. Trust it. Trust yourself." Alia nodded. "I will do my best, Magistra." The doors of the sanctum opened, revealing a vast chamber unlike any Alia had ever seen. Holographic projections filled the room, creating an endless labyrinth of shifting walls and corridors. The floor was polished and reflective, and the eternal flame burned at the center, glowing brighter than ever. This was the arena of the trial, a place where reality and simulation blended seamlessly. "You must navigate this labyrinth," Valeria explained. "Each decision you make will test your judgment, patience, and loyalty. You will face illusions designed to tempt, confuse, or distract you. Your goal is to reach the flame at the heart of the labyrinth and stabilize it. Do this, and the trial is complete." Alia took a deep breath and stepped forward. The moment her foot crossed the threshold, the walls of the sanctum shifted, and the corridors of the labyrinth appeared around her. The air seemed to hum with energy, and the light of the flame reflected endlessly, creating an illusion of infinite paths. Her first challenge appeared almost immediately. A corridor stretched before her, lined with mirrors that reflected her every move. Some mirrors showed her as she truly was, while others distorted her image, making her appear larger, smaller, older, or younger. The illusion was subtle, but it made her question herself. Was she capable? Did she have the strength to succeed? Alia paused and placed her hand on her chest. She closed her eyes and focused on the warmth of the eternal flame in the center of the labyrinth. Slowly, she let her doubts fall away. The reflections were illusions. They could not change her purpose. She opened her eyes and chose a path, one that felt steady and true, ignoring the distorted images. As she moved deeper, the labyrinth shifted again. Now she faced a series of obstacles designed to test her patience. Doors appeared and disappeared, paths led to dead ends, and whispers echoed through the corridors. Some voices mimicked those of her mentors, offering praise or criticism. Others were strange, alien sounds that made her heart pound. Alia stopped and listened carefully. She realized that the whispers were not meant to confuse her. They were meant to make her doubt herself. She focused on the flame at the center, imagining its steady glow. With each step, she reminded herself of her training, of the discipline she had practiced for years. Slowly, she began to navigate the shifting corridors, letting her intuition guide her. Hours seemed to pass in a few minutes. Time in the labyrinth was strange, bending and stretching as the holographic projections shifted. Alia encountered new challenges. A room filled with floating spheres, each reflecting a different fear or regret, a bridge over an endless chasm that seemed impossible to cross, and a hall lined with symbols of failure from human history. At each challenge, Alia paused, studied her surroundings, and made careful decisions. She did not rush. She did not give in to fear, and she did not allow doubt to control her. Slowly, the labyrinth began to respond to her choices. Walls shifted to create clear paths. Obstacles became manageable. The flame at the center grew brighter, as if acknowledging her determination. Eventually, she reached a chamber unlike the others. It was vast and open, with the eternal flame burning brilliantly in the middle. Around it were holographic projections of the Zithurians, Cian among them, observing her silently. Alia realized that this was the final test. The labyrinth had prepared her, but now she had to prove not only her skill but her understanding of humanity itself. Alia approached the flame carefully. The energy of the plasma shifted as she drew near, responding to her presence. She extended her hands and adjusted the containment field, ensuring the flame burned steadily. The room pulsed with light, and the Zithurian projections shifted in recognition. "You have navigated the labyrinth successfully," Cian said, their voice calm but filled with a subtle resonance that humans could interpret as admiration. "You have demonstrated qualities that are unexpected: loyalty, patience, creativity, and judgment. These are traits that even your species sometimes forgets." Alia bowed her head, feeling both relief and pride. "Thank you," she said softly. "I only did what I was trained to do. The flame is not mine alone. It belongs to all who came before me and all who will follow." Cian's glow pulsed gently, a sign of acknowledgement. "Your species demonstrates strength not through force but through endurance and care. This is remarkable." Valeria stepped forward from the edge of the chamber, her face glowing with pride. "Alia, you have completed the trial of the flame. You have proven yourself worthy of the Vestal Order. More than that, you have shown that humanity's spirit endures, even in the most challenging conditions." Alia's heart swelled. She realized that the trial had been more than a test of skill, it had been a test of identity. In the labyrinth, every illusion, every challenge, and every reflection had been an opportunity to understand herself and her place in the universe. As she stood by the flame, she thought of the lessons she had learned. Humans were fragile in body, yet resilient in mind. They could face confusion, temptation, and fear, and still find a way forward. And in the presence of beings like the Zithurians, humans could demonstrate qualities that no alien logic could predict: hope, devotion, and the steady light of tradition. The Zithurians withdrew their projections, leaving only a soft glow outside the chamber. Alia realized that her performance had not only affirmed her role as a Vestal, but had also made an impression on these alien observers. Humanity had communicated through action, proving that strength was not always visible or measurable. After the trial, the station council convened to celebrate Alia's success. Holographic projections of senior members filled the chamber, each offering congratulations and recognition. The elders spoke of the importance of the flame, the value of tradition, and the remarkable courage of the young Vestal. Alia, though exhausted, felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had faced challenges that tested her mind, heart, and spirit, and she had succeeded. But more importantly, she had shown that humans could endure and inspire, even in ways that other species could not fully understand. Later that evening, she returned to the sanctum alone. The flame burned steadily, its light warm and reassuring. Alia knelt before it, feeling its energy pulse gently. She whispered a vow: "I will protect this flame. I will honor the past and guide the future. And I will show the universe what humanity can be." Outside the station, the Zithurian vessel remained in orbit, its pulses slow and steady. Alia sensed a quiet acknowledgement. Though they could not fully understand human emotion, they had seen something enduring, a species capable of courage, wisdom, and hope. As she settled into her chamber for the night, Aelia reflected on the trial of the flame. It had been more than a test. It had been a journey of self-discovery. She had learned that true strength was not in speed or power, but in patience, understanding, and the willingness to act with care. Above her, the stars stretched endlessly, and the swirling storms of Kalis glimmered in the distance. Yet within Luminara Station, the eternal flame burned brighter than ever, a symbol of human resilience and spirit. And Aelia, the young Vestal, knew that her journey was only beginning. The stars waited, vast and silent, but humanity had shown that even in the emptiest reaches of space, it could shine. And the flame, steady and eternal, would guide them forward. The days following the trial of the flame passed in a strange calm. Luminara Station continued its orbit around Kalis, and the eternal flame burned steadily in the sanctum. Aelia moved through the station with a sense of quiet pride, but also a growing awareness of responsibility. She had proven herself in the trial, yet the presence of the Zithurians remained a constant reminder that humanity's traditions were under observation. Cian's vessel had not left orbit. It hovered silently, its smooth, glowing surface reflecting the golden light of the eternal flame. To most humans, it was simply a curiosity, but to Aelia, it was a challenge. The Zithurians had no need for rituals, no concept of tradition or history. Yet they lingered, observing, evaluating, and perhaps even questioning humanity in ways the elders could not predict. Magistra Valeria approached Aelia as she tended the flame one morning. "They will speak soon," she said, her voice soft but urgent. "Cian wishes to offer something, an alternative. They believe the flame could be maintained more efficiently with their technology. It would never flicker or waver, but there is a cost. They will ask you to consider abandoning the old ways." Aelia's fingers brushed the smooth surface of the containment field. "Abandon the old ways?" she asked. Her heart tightened. The flame was more than light. It was history, identity, and memory. To replace it with cold technology alone would be to erase centuries of human endurance. "We cannot give that up," she said firmly. Valeria nodded. "And yet you must negotiate. Show them that humanity can accept innovation without losing its spirit. This will test you as much as the trial of the flame." Later, the Zithurian emissary appeared within the sanctum. Cian's holographic form shimmered, casting soft-colored light across the chamber. "Aelia of the Vestal Order," Cian said, their voice calm and melodic, "we have observed your trial. You have demonstrated qualities of your species that are remarkable. Yet the flame you maintain is inefficient. Energy is wasted, resources could be conserved. We propose a solution." Aelia's eyes narrowed. "A solution that replaces tradition with technology." Cian's form pulsed gently. "Not replaces, enhances. With our systems, the flame could burn perpetually without human intervention. It would never falter. You would be free to direct your efforts elsewhere." Aelia shook her head. "The flame is not only about energy or permanence. It is about the human spirit. It is a connection to the past, a reminder of who we are. To maintain it with only machines it would be meaningless." Cian tilted their form slightly, a gesture of curiosity. "Meaning is subjective. Humans assign value to symbols. We measure efficiency. We seek optimization. Your choice is illogical." "And yet it is human," Aelia replied. "We are not defined by efficiency alone. Strength is found in persistence, in patience, in values that cannot be calculated. The flame reminds us that we endure, that we matter, and that we are capable of more than logic alone." The chamber was silent for a moment. Even Cian seemed to hesitate. Then slowly they pulsed in a slow rhythm as if considering her words. "Perhaps your species is unique," they said finally. "You maintain value in ways we cannot fully comprehend, yet the inefficiency is remarkable." Aelia's heart swelled. She had held her ground, yet she knew that dialogue was only the first step. The Zithurians were patient, methodical, and precise. They would test humanity's approach in ways that were subtle but profound. She needed to demonstrate that humans could integrate new ideas without losing their identity. Over the following days, Alia worked alongside the Zethurians. Cian shared data on energy systems, containment fields, and orbital efficiency. The human engineers watched in awe as the aliens proposed ways to stabilize the flame using their technology. It was tempting, so tempting that even some of the elders considered the offer seriously. Efficiency could prevent accidents, reduce maintenance, and free resources for other projects. Yet Alia persisted. She suggested a compromise. The flame could remain human-tended, but certain systems could be enhanced with Zethurian precision. Sensors could detect fluctuations, while containment fields could be adjusted automatically, but the fire itself would remain a symbol maintained by humans, not machines. Cian studied her carefully. "You wish to preserve symbolism at the cost of efficiency," they said. "This is illogical." "Perhaps," Alia replied, "but humans are not bound only by logic. We are bound by meaning, by history, and by values. These things make us unpredictable, yes, but also resilient and adaptable." The aliens pulsed in thought. Slowly, they began to understand. It was not about rejecting technology. It was about integrating it in a way that preserved identity. Alia guided the engineers as they implemented a hybrid system. Sensors monitored the flame, containment fields adjusted automatically, and energy flow was optimized. Yet the flame was still human-tended, its glow reflecting centuries of tradition. As the station adjusted to the new system, Cian spoke again. "We observe a pattern. Your species is adaptable. You integrate innovation without losing history. This is unexpected." Alia smiled faintly. "It is what makes humans strong. We endure not because we are perfect, but because we learn, adapt, and hold on to what matters." The elders were impressed. Even those skeptical of Alia's approach admitted that the compromise had strengthened the station. The flame burned steadier than ever, yet remained meaningful. Humanity had preserved both efficiency and tradition, a balance that even the Zethurians had not anticipated. In the following days, the interaction with the Zethurians deepened. Alia found herself acting as a bridge between species, explaining human values, answering questions about rituals, and demonstrating patience in ways that computers or pure logic could not replicate. The Zethurians, in turn, shared insights about orbital dynamics, energy management, and long-term sustainability. Humans learned, adapted, and sometimes challenged the aliens' assumptions, not with force, but with intelligence, creativity, and careful reasoning. Alia began to understand the larger lesson. The clash of cultures was not about conflict, but about perspective. The Zethurians measured everything by efficiency and logic. Humans measured by meaning and endurance. Both approaches had value, but only by working together could they achieve something greater than either species alone. One evening, Alia returned to the sanctum after a long day. The eternal flame burned brighter than ever, its light reflecting off the polished floors. She gazed at the flame and thought of Earth, of the temples that once stood on that blue planet, and of the centuries of humans who had kept fires alive in honor of their beliefs. Here, in the silent void above Kalis, she realized that humanity had preserved that same spirit and perhaps even strengthened it. The Zethurian vessel pulsed outside the station, sending a gentle wave of light. Alia smiled. She felt that they were beginning to understand, even if partially, what humans valued. And she knew that humanity's strength lay not only in technology or numbers, but in the ability to balance tradition with innovation, heart with mind, and history with the future. Magistra Valeria appeared at her side. "You have done well, Alia," she said. "Not only have you preserved the flame, but you have shown the Zethurians that humans are capable of thinking in ways they cannot fully predict. This is as important as the trial itself." Alia nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle comfortably on her shoulders. She realized that the challenge was not over. Humanity's journey among the stars would always be filled with tests, observations, and negotiations. But she also knew that humans had something unique, a spirit that could endure, adapt, and inspire across generations and even species. That night, as Alia knelt before the flame, she whispered a promise. I will guide this flame, honor our history, and show the universe what humans can achieve. I will protect what makes us human, even in the vastest reaches of space. Outside the station, Cian pulsed gently, as if acknowledging her vow. Humanity had faced the first true challenge of its encounter with an alien intelligence and had emerged stronger, not through force, but through creativity, wisdom, and courage. Above Kalis, the storm swirled endlessly, but inside Luminara Station, the flame burned steady and warm. Humans had faced a test of culture, tradition, and understanding, and they had proven once again that even in a universe ruled by logic and alien observation, the human spirit could shine with brilliance, resilience, and unyielding hope. The stars stretched infinitely around the station, cold and silent, but the eternal flame glowed, a beacon of humanity's enduring legacy. And Alia, the young Vestal, knew that whatever challenges awaited, humans could meet them with courage, wisdom, and the steady light of their traditions. The station had never felt so alive. Luminara's corridors hummed with energy and anticipation, a reflection of both human diligence and alien observation. Since Alia had successfully navigated the trial of the flame and negotiated with the Zethurians, the eternal flame had never burned brighter. Its light shimmered across the polished metal floors, casting gentle reflections that danced on the walls like living memories. Alia moved carefully through the sanctum, her eyes tracing the golden plasma as it rose and fell rhythmically. The hybrid system she had helped design had transformed the station. Sensors monitored fluctuations, containment fields adjusted automatically, yet the flame remained human-tended, its glow tied to the care and devotion of the Vestals. It was a perfect balance of tradition and innovation. Magistra Valeria appeared beside her, her face calm but bright with pride. "You have done more than preserve the flame, Alia," she said softly. "You have shown the Zethurians and all who watch that humanity can adapt without losing its heart. This is a victory of spirit, intellect, and wisdom." Alia nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest. The weight of responsibility that had once pressed heavily upon her now felt like a mantle of purpose. She understood something vital. The flame was not just a ritual, it was a bridge. A bridge between past and future, human and alien, logic and spirit. As she tended the flame, the station's communication console flickered. The holographic projection of Cian appeared, pulsing gently with soft, shifting colors. "Alia," Cian said, their voice calm and resonant, "we have observed the integration of technology and tradition. The flame is stable. Your people have preserved meaning while achieving efficiency. This is remarkable." Alia bowed her head slightly. "Thank you, Cian, but this is not just my achievement. The engineers, the elders, the Vestals, they have all contributed. The flame belongs to all of humanity." Cian pulsed slowly, a gesture that seemed almost contemplative. "We have learned something from you as well. Humans do not always follow logic, yet you endure. Your species adapts in ways we cannot predict. This unpredictability is a form of strength." Alia smiled faintly. "We call it spirit." The Zethurian projection pulsed again, sending waves of light across the chamber. "Spirit, yes. Perhaps this is a word for what we observe. It cannot be measured, but it can be recognized. Humans possess an energy that is unique in the universe." The acknowledgement sent a thrill through Alia. For centuries, humans had been one species among many in the galaxy, often underestimated, often regarded as fragile. And yet here they were, proving that their strength was not only in survival, but in endurance, creativity, and devotion. In the days that followed, the station entered a rhythm of harmony. Humans maintained the flame, Zethurians offered guidance and technical suggestions, and the hybrid system ensured efficiency without erasing tradition. Engineers worked alongside the Vestals, learning the subtle patterns of human care, while humans learned to trust the precision of alien technology. Alia found herself acting as a bridge more than ever. She explained to the Zethurians the significance of each ritual gesture, each measurement, each careful adjustment to the flame. They observed with fascination, noting how humans were willing to slow down, reflect, and act with intention. The aliens had technology beyond imagination, yet even they recognized that some things, like patience, devotion, and respect, could not be engineered. One evening, as Alia rested near the flame, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She remembered the first flicker of the flame, the fear she had felt, the trial that had tested her judgment and patience. She thought of the Zethurians' curiosity, the challenge of negotiating without compromising identity, and the subtle victory of integrating technology with tradition. Her thoughts were interrupted by Valeria's voice. "Alia, come. The council wishes to convene. There is something you must see." Curious, Alia followed her mentor to the central council chamber. The elders were gathered, their holographic projections filled with subtle light, and the engineers waited nearby. In the center of the chamber, the Zethurians had projected a complex visualization, a map of Luminara Station, showing energy flows, flame stability, and orbital patterns. Cian's projection appeared, pulsing with soft light. "We wish to recognize the outcome of your efforts," they said. "The flame has achieved stability beyond expectation. Human oversight combined with alien technology has created a system that is resilient, adaptive, and meaningful. This represents a model for cooperation between species." The council members murmured in approval, impressed by the glowing data. Elder Lucius stepped forward. "This is a testament to humanity's ability to endure, adapt, and inspire. Alia, you have not only preserved tradition, but also ensured that our legacy can thrive among the stars." Alia felt a mixture of pride and humility. She had been chosen as a Vestal, trained for this moment, yet she understood that the achievement was collective. Every human who had tended a flame, every elder who had guided her, every engineer who had contributed, together, they had created something that would endure far beyond their lifetimes. Cian pulsed once more. "We will continue to observe. Yet it is clear that your species possesses qualities that are remarkable. Humans can endure beyond expectation, adapt beyond prediction, and inspire beyond calculation. The flame you maintain is not only a symbol, but a demonstration of resilience and spirit." Alia's eyes glistened. "Then the flame will continue," she said softly. "It will burn for our past, our present, and the generations to come." In the following weeks, life on the station settled into a harmonious routine. The flame, steady and bright, became a symbol not just for the humans aboard Luminara, but for the Zethurians as well. Their vessel pulsed gently, and Cian occasionally appeared in the chamber to observe, always respectful, always curious. Alia noticed subtle changes among the crew. Humans moved with renewed purpose, taking pride in their ability to combine tradition and technology. They understood that endurance was not about resisting change, but about integrating it wisely. And the Zethurians, in turn, began to show a subtle respect for rituals they could not fully comprehend, recognizing the invisible strength behind devotion and care. One day, as Alia tended the flame, a young engineer approached her. "Alia," he said hesitantly, I think I understand what you mean about spirit. Watching how you care for the flame, how you integrate the technology without losing the tradition, it's inspiring. I've never seen humans work like this before." Alia smiled. Spirit is not something that can be taught by instruction alone. It is learned by example, by reflection, and by understanding what truly matters. You have learned quickly. That is why humans endure. The young engineer nodded, his eyes shining with realization. I want to help maintain the flame, not just as a task, but as a purpose, to honor history and guide the future. Alia placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Then you will carry the flame forward, not just the plasma fire, but the meaning behind it. That is the true duty of a Vestal. That night, she stood alone in the sanctum, gazing out at the swirling storms of Kalis below. The stars stretched endlessly, cold and silent, yet here, in the light of the eternal flame, humanity's warmth shone brilliantly. The station itself seemed alive with the harmony of technology, tradition, and spirit. Cian's vessel drifted in orbit, pulsing gently. Alia could feel its attention, a silent acknowledgement of the human achievement. They could not fully understand the emotions behind the flame, but they recognized the results: stability, dedication, and endurance that went beyond mere calculation. Alia knelt before the flame, her thoughts reaching across centuries of human history. She imagined the first fires kept by Vestals in temples on Earth, the generations who had tended sacred flames, the human colonies scattered across the stars, and the future yet to come. And she whispered a vow: I will guide this flame. I will honor the past. I will teach the future, and I will show the universe that humanity's spirit endures. The eternal flame pulsed gently in response, as if acknowledging her promise. Outside, the Zethurian vessel shimmered, a silent witness to the enduring power of humans. The stars continued their endless dance, vast and infinite, but within Luminara Station, the flame burned steady and eternal. Alia understood that this was only the beginning. Humanity would face challenges among the stars, and other species would test their strength, wisdom, and values. Yet they would endure, not only because of technology, numbers, or strategy, but because of something unique: the human spirit. It was in the patient care of a flame, in the wisdom of tradition, in the courage to act with intention and meaning, that humanity had proven its worth. And as long as the flame burned, as long as humans remembered who they were and what they valued, they would continue to shine brightly, even in the vastest reaches of space. The eternal flame, steady, golden, and radiant, became more than a symbol. It was a living testament to human endurance, innovation, and heart. Alia, the young Vestal, the keeper of history and guardian of light, felt a quiet certainty in her chest. No matter how far humans traveled, no matter the challenges they faced, their spirit would always endure. And in the endless darkness of space, the light of humanity would shine eternal.